What if the Bible you hold in your hands is only part of the story? A fragment of a divine tapestry woven before the stars were born. Imagine a sacred text, whispered by angels, that unveils the hidden rhythms of creation, the forgotten laws of the Almighty, and a calendar so precise it aligns humanity with the heartbeat of heaven itself. The Book of Jubilees, a chronicle preserved in the shadows of the Ethiopian Orthodox Bible, claims to hold these truths, stories of patriarchs, angels, and divine commandments that stretch beyond the pages of Genesis. Yet, for reasons shrouded in mystery, this book was cast out, banned from the canon of mainstream Christianity. Why would a text so rich with divine insight be deemed too dangerous to embrace? A truth buried for millennia awaits, calling us to uncover its secrets. And so we begin our journey into the cosmic vision of Jubilees, a tale of sacred time, angelic guidance, and a divine plan written on the tablets of heaven. If this mystery stirs your soul, hit that like button, subscribe, and join the conversation in the comments below. Let's dive into the hidden chronicles together. In the beginning, when the Almighty spoke the world into being, He did not merely craft the earth, the seas, or the creatures that roamed them. He wove the very fabric of time itself, a sacred rhythm that pulses through the cosmos, binding heaven and earth in perfect harmony. The Book of Jubilees, unlike the Genesis we know, reveals this divine architecture, a cosmic order where angels, not men, were the first to witness creation's dawn. On the first day, before the sun rose or the stars shone, God created the angels of the presence, tasked with overseeing the movements of the heavens. For He ordained that the sun should keep its course according to the divisions of the seasons, Jubilees tells us, a testament to a divine blueprint that governs all existence. This blueprint introduced a sacred calendar, not the shifting lunar cycles followed by ancient cultures, but a solar rhythm of 364 days, divided into 4 seasons of precisely 91 days each. This was no mere counting of days. It was a mandate to live in alignment with God's will. Each Sabbath, each festival, was set to fall on its ordained day, unwavering, eternal. Yet humanity strayed, seduced by the lunar calendar's irregularity, which Jubilees calls a corruption, a rebellion against the divine order. There will be those who will surely make observations of the moon, but they will disturb the seasons, the text warns, foretelling spiritual chaos when God's rhythm is forsaken. Thus begins the story of Jubilees, a call to rediscover the sacred time that aligns us with the Creator's eternal plan. As the Almighty shaped the cosmos, His first act was not to kindle the stars or carve the mountains, but to summon the angels, celestial beings woven from His eternal light.
Earth took form, when heaven hummed with divine purpose. These angels, guardians of the sacred order, were entrusted with the governance of the universe. Some guided the sun and moon along their celestial paths, ensuring the seasons marched in step with God's will. Others, the angels of the presence, stood as sentinels of His laws, their wings shimmering with the weight of divine authority. Jubilees tells us these beings were more than spectators of creation. They were its stewards. They regulated the tides, the winds, and the turning of the heavens, ensuring the cosmos reflected the Creator's perfection. Yet their role extended beyond the stars. To Adam, the first man, they descended as messengers, bearing the commandments etched on the heavenly tablets. From the dawn of his existence, Adam was taught the laws of purity, the sanctity of the Sabbath, and the rites of worship. And on the 6th day, we brought, according to the word of God, to Adam all the beasts, Jubilees recounts, revealing angels as mediators of a covenant not born of earth, but of heaven. Through their guidance, humanity was invited to mirror the obedience of the angelic host, binding earth to the eternal rhythms of the divine. In the garden where life first bloomed, Adam stood as the crown of creation,
formed by the Almighty's hands. Yet the Book of Jubilees reveals he was more than a caretaker of Eden. He was the first keeper of God's eternal laws. Guided by angels, Adam received commandments straight from the heavenly tablets. Laws of purity, the sacred observance of the Sabbath, and the sanctity of marriage. These were not mere rules but a covenant, a divine invitation to align his heart with the rhythms of heaven. And the angels taught him that he must observe God's laws as an eternal covenant, Jubilees declares, unveiling a bond forged before the world grew old. But where there is covenant, there is choice, and with choice, the shadow of rebellion. Adam's sons, Cain and Abel, walked the earth under the same divine gaze, yet their paths diverged. Abel offered his sacrifice in righteousness, while Cain's heart burned with envy. In a moment of rage, Cain struck down his brother, spilling blood that cried out to the heavens. Jubilees frames this murder as more than a personal sin. It was the first fracture of God's cosmic order, a wound that rippled through humanity's soul. Cast out, Cain bore the weight of his transgression, but the righteous line endured through Seth, a son appointed to carry the covenant forward. Thus, the story of Jubilees whispers a timeless truth. To stray from God's law is to court chaos, yet his plan persists through the faithful. As humanity multiplied, the earth grew heavy with sin, its beauty marred by rebellion. The Book of Jubilees unveils a chilling cause: the net spread lawlessness, teaching humanity secrets never meant for mortal hands. And lawlessness increased on the earth, and all flesh corrupted its way. Jubilees laments, painting a world where even beasts and birds turned against their divine order, devouring one another in chaos. God's heart grieved, yet his gaze fell on Noah, a righteous man, untainted by the world's decay. Commanded to build an ark, Noah became the guardian of hope amidst judgment. The floodwaters rose, cleansing the earth of its corruption, but Jubilees reveals more than destruction. It heralds a new beginning. After the waters receded, God forged a covenant with Noah, echoing the laws given to Adam. Noah was instructed to observe the Sabbath, offer pure sacrifices, and uphold righteousness, ensuring humanity's alignment with heaven's rhythm. This covenant, inscribed on the heavenly tablets, was a beacon of restoration, a promise that God's order would prevail. Yet, the shadow of the Nephilim's rebellion lingered, a warning etched in the earth's memory. To defy the Almighty's laws is to invite ruin. But through the righteous, his eternal plan endures. In a world shrouded in darkness, where men bowed to lifeless idols, a young Abraham stood apart, his heart ablaze with a truth unseen. The Book of Jubilees unveils a revolutionary figure, born into a family steeped in pagan worship, yet destined to shatter its chains. His father, Terah, crafted images of stone, but Abraham saw through their hollow promises. In a defiant act, he set fire to the idols, their ashes a testament to his unwavering faith in the one true God. And Abraham burned them before the eyes of all and fled into the wilderness, Jubilees recounts, marking the moment a patriarch chose heaven's light over earthly shadows. This was no mere act of rebellion. It was the dawn of a covenant. Guided by angels, Abraham received divine laws etched on the heavenly tablets, laws of Sabbath, sacrifice, and purity that predated the revelations of Sinai. Long before Moses, Abraham walked in obedience, circumcising his household and offering sacrifices as signs of an eternal bond with the Almighty. Jubilees portrays him not just as a man of faith, but as a keeper of cosmic order, aligning his life with the divine rhythms set at creation. His rejection of idolatry was a clarion call, echoing through generations,
that to follow God's law is to stand against the world's falsehoods, forging a path for the chosen people to walk in holiness. In the stillness of a mountain's shadow, Abraham faced a command that pierced his soul: to offer Isaac, his beloved son, as a sacrifice. The Book of Jubilees unveils this moment not merely as a test of faith, but as a cosmic battle waged in the unseen realms. Mastema, a dark prince akin to Satan, stood before the Almighty, challenging Abraham's devotion, hoping to see him falter. This was no earthly trial. It was a clash between righteousness and rebellion, with the fate of God's covenant hanging in the balance. As Abraham raised the knife, heaven held its breath, and angels watched, their presence a shield against the forces of evil. Yet Abraham's heart remained steadfast, his trust in God unyielding. At the critical moment, divine intervention stayed his hand, and a ram appeared, a symbol of God's provision. Command him not to lay his hand on the lad, for I have shown that he fears the Lord, Jubilees echoes, affirming Abraham's victory over Mastema's schemes. This act of obedience reverberated beyond the altar, proving that faith could triumph over the darkest temptations. Jubilees frames the binding of Isaac as more than a father's sacrifice. It was a declaration of God's sovereignty, a moment where human faithfulness aligned with the eternal laws of heaven, securing the covenant for generations. In this trial, Abraham became a beacon, illuminating the path of trust in the divine plan. In the womb of Rebekah, two nations wrestled, their destinies etched in heaven before their first breath. The Book of Jubilees unveils the rivalry of Jacob and Esau, not as a mere family feud, but as a cosmic struggle between righteousness and rebellion. Jacob, chosen from birth, was destined to carry the covenant, while Esau's path veered toward defiance. His descendants fated to oppose God's people. Two nations shall be divided from your womb, and the elder shall serve the younger, Jubilees proclaims, echoing the divine prophecy that shaped their lives. Jacob's cunning secured the birthright, but Jubilees reveals this was no trickery. It was the fulfillment of a heavenly plan. From Jacob's line sprang the 12 tribes, their births orchestrated by the Almighty's sacred calendar. Each son, Reuben, Judah, Levi, and their brothers, was born according to divine timing, their destinies inscribed on the heavenly tablets. Jubilees portrays them not merely as heirs of land, but as guardians of God's eternal laws, tasked with upholding the Sabbath, purity, and the cosmic order. Esau's rebellion, by contrast, birthed a nation that would clash with slavery under Egypt's blazing sun. Yet the Book of Jubilees reveals this was no mere twist of fate. It was a thread in the Almighty's cosmic tapestry. Guided by angels from the moment of his betrayal, Joseph was shielded by heaven's hand, his path ordained on the heavenly tablets. The Lord sent his angels to guard Joseph, for his life was precious, Jubilees declares, unveiling a divine orchestration that led him from pit to palace. His rise to power, born of wisdom and dreams, was not chance but destiny, crafted to save Israel from famine and set the stage for a greater deliverance. Jubilees casts Joseph as a prophetic figure, aware of the future bondage awaiting his people. His rule in Egypt was a prelude to the Exodus, a divine plan where salvation and suffering intertwined. By bringing his family to Egypt, Joseph fulfilled a heavenly decree,
knowing their descendants would face enslavement, yet emerge through God's mighty hand. His life bridged the covenant of Abraham to the liberation at Sinai, each step aligned with the sacred calendar of creation. In Joseph's story, we see the Almighty's sovereignty, weaving human frailty into a grand design. His triumph whispers a truth. Even in the darkest trials, God's angels guide the faithful toward a redemption written in the stars. In Egypt's shadow, Israel groaned under Pharaoh's yoke, their cries piercing the heavens. Yet the Book of Jubilees reveals their bondage was no accident. It was foretold on the heavenly tablets, a chapter in God's cosmic plan. The Exodus was not merely liberation, but a divine symphony, timed to the sacred calendar. On the 14th day of the first month, God would bring Israel out, Jubilees proclaims, marking a moment woven into creation's fabric. The 10 plagues, unleashed with divine fury, were more than judgments. They were cosmic strikes against Egypt's false gods, dismantling the spiritual forces behind them. Mastema, the prince of darkness, fueled Pharaoh's defiance, hardening his heart to test Israel's faith. Yet God's power prevailed as angels waged war in the unseen realms, ensuring Israel's deliverance. The Mosaic Law, revealed at Sinai, was not new but eternal, inscribed on heaven's tablets long before Moses. Patriarchs like Abraham had kept its precepts, and now Israel was called to align with this universal order. The Exodus was a rebirth, a realignment with the divine rhythm, where plagues and miracles declared God's sovereignty over both earth and spirit. Jubilees frames this as a victory in a greater war, where the Almighty's plan, written before time, tablets. After tribulation purifies the nation, God will gather his people, restoring them to their land in holiness. The time will come when the children of Israel will turn back to the Lord, and he will gather them from the nations. Jubilees foresees, heralding a spiritual renewal under a messianic king. In this kingdom, righteousness will reign, and the law will be written on every heart. Angels will descend, binding Mastema and his evil spirits, casting them into the abyss. The wicked will face judgment, consumed in a lake of fire, while the righteous inherit an earth restored to divine order. Jubilees envisions a cosmic culmination, where the Sabbath, festivals, and sacred calendar align heaven and earth in eternal harmony. This is no mere hope but a certainty, etched in heaven's record since creation's dawn. The messianic kingdom will end the age of strife, ushering in God's eternal rule, where the faithful walk in the light of his law. Jubilees calls us to anticipate this day, to live now as stewards of the divine order, preparing our hearts for the Almighty's ultimate triumph over darkness. Why was the Book of Jubilees, a text brimming with divine revelation, cast into obscurity? Its truths, preserved in the Ethiopian Orthodox Bible, challenge the heart of mainstream faith. Jubilees' insistence on a 364-day solar calendar clashed with the lunar cycles embraced by ancient Israel and early Christians, branding it a threat to established traditions. Its vivid tales of angelic mediation, laws delivered to patriarchs long before Moses, stirred unease, suggesting a cosmic order too vast for rigid canons. The law was ordained and written on the heavenly tablets, before the foundation of the world, Jubilees asserts, a claim that unsettled those who saw the law as Moses's alone. Its detailed commandments, from Sabbath observance to purity rites, diverged from emerging Jewish and Christian practices, marking it as controversial. Yet in Ethiopia, its sacred time endures, reflected in a calendar of 13 months, a living echo of Jubilees' vision. Was it banned to preserve unity or to conceal truths too profound for its time? The mystery lingers, inviting us to seek the hidden layers of God's plan. Jubilees beckons us to question, to explore the divine rhythms it unveils, and to walk in faith toward the cosmic order it proclaims. If this journey has stirred your spirit, like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Let's uncover these sacred mysteries together, illuminating the eternal truths that bind heaven and earth.